Hello, everyone. We are here at E3. I am Adam Sessler, joined by Jessica Villarreal, Jeff Cannata, and Ray Carsillo. All right, guys, so now we've gotten a chance to see games, but Ray, you weren't with us yesterday, and I think you've seen more games than all of us combined. So I defer to you as the ultimate authority. What's really standing out to you?
You know, Square Enix's lineup has really impressed me so far, not just from what they're bringing from the West, but also what they're bringing from Japan. Obviously, all the Final Fantasy stuff, Final Fantasy VII's remake, everybody's been wanting it forever. Everybody went crazy for it when they showed it off at the Sony conference, and then again themselves at their own conference yesterday. So, I mean, really what Square Enix is doing from two sides of the ocean is really, really impressive to me. So.
All right. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Looked really cool. I'm very excited for that game. We've been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 for a long time.
Yeah. I've been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 for one reason only, so people would stop asking me as if I knew if Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out. That is my interest in the game, and it ends right there.
Adam, you are a Disney character, so I understand why people. And also, Deus Ex looks really good. That new engine they showed off is really, really beautiful, and it's, you know, post-apocalyptic, or in this case, far future worlds, you need a lot of detritus in your world to make it really sell, and Deus Ex looks like the world is full of junk and garbage and things to walk through. It looks really cool.
Well, I think what was interesting about Deus Ex, right, is that the first one had 3 endings, and it looks like they're going for the most negative ending, and they're going to follow up on that with the story, you know, where all of the everyone who has these enhancements are basically outcasts, and they're calling it a mechanical apartheid, you know, right? So it's really interesting to see that they went super dark and negative with this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you know, the original Deus Ex had that same problem where it did have multiple endings, and then when Deus Ex 2 came out, Invisible War, it was unclear, like, oh, why did you? I think they chose the one that was pretty grim as well.
Yeah.
I think it's something of a tradition in that franchise to just, you know, see the bleakest in humanity.
Right. I mean, it looks like the whole story and the whole world is that, so it's kind of like, why would they give it a happy Hollywood ending, you know? It's like, no, it's going to stay bleak and it's going to stay nasty, you know? So
and I have
follow
to
the
say,
theme.
you know, I was not a fan of Just Cause 2. I know I'm probably in the minority there because I think a lot of people love that game. I did not have fun with it, but my goodness, Just Cause 3 looks crazy. There's an old game that is very close to my heart called Red Faction Guerrilla.
Oh,
You guys remember that game?
Wow.
One of my favorite games from consoles past. But the destructibility of that environment, it looks like Just Cause 3 has that kind of level of chaos and destructibility.
So yeah, so I actually got to go hands-on with Just Cause 3, and the freedom they give you is just unparalleled. There was this one segment where I'm at the top of a hill, and I'm next to this large spherical oil canister, and I'm like, and I'm looking at the down of the hill. I have to blow up a police station. I shoot out the supports for the oil canister, and it rolls down the hill and blows up the police station for me.
Never keep your oil in spherical containers. That's what I've always said. I've always said that.
Keep your explosive stuff in red.
Always
canisters,
red.
And
That's
put them
the
next
red.
to your lean-to buildings that are very, very weak and unstable.
And
if you're
always
a guard,
stand next to them.
If you're a guard, hang out next to them.
You know, but to your point about Just Cause, I wasn't a huge fan of Just Cause 2 as well.
Really?
Well, it was
I feel like I was the only one.
It was a game where I could see what they wanted to do with it, but I felt that it didn't deliver both because of the technology.
Right.
It couldn't do as much. You know, you didn't have as much freedom as I think you felt you should. And additionally, I think we were still playing around with that type of game design, and to teach your player to better understand how diverse their opportunities are. And I think for you and E3 at a demo to come up with something that creative, that speaks really, really well for the game.
Yeah, no, seriously. And I think also speaking to Just Cause 2, I think that was a game that came into its own because of modders, right, on the PC community and stuff. That was really kind of where their community and that fan base really kind of grew because, like you mentioned, it wasn't that polished an experience when it first launched, especially on consoles. So I think they kind of took some lessons from their own community and really implemented that now, and we're seeing it in Just Cause 3, and it just looks fantastic.
Can I bring up the whole modding thing? I think it's fascinating that Fallout 4 mentioned that anything that's modded on a PC is now going to be playable on the Xbox One for Fallout 4. That is mind-blowing to me. Like,
I think it's hugely overdue. I think this is one of the things that PC gamers have lorded over console gamers for a long time. Because mods are awesome.
They
and
really are.
I hope that Fallout 4 is just the first domino and that we're going to get all kinds of games, and I'm hoping retroactively, I hope that games like Witcher 3 is going to support, because the Witcher 3 mods are already awesome, and then we just at the beginning of that.
And you know, and it's healthy for the games. I mean, it's a good business decision, because that game then has life, even if you play through all the story, and that's a way to kind of, you know, if the player is engaged with the game because of the mods, they're probably going to be engaged with the DLC. They're going to be engaged with the other ways in which the companies are trying to, you know, keep you buying stuff.
Exactly.
Right? Now, on the Square Enix thing, Rise of the Tomb Raider, which
oh, it looks so good.
it's a really pretty game. And I had a really nice interview with one of the leads on the team a couple nights ago, and we just talked about how hard it is to render ice.
The ice on that.
And it really, you know, because you have something that's translucent, but it's also a solid, but it's also, you know, fluid inside of it, and then you're putting snow on top of it, and it just made me chuckle why there are these creative guys on these dev teams. We would have never said, God, that game would have been great if it had snow and ice in it. But they like decided to go ahead and do one of the hardest things that you can render in real time, and it really is impressive.
Just watching her shuffle through the ice and leave those marks. Oh my gosh, it looks so real. My favorite part of that demo, though, is when she does this incredible video game character leap, and then the dude she's with is like, I don't think I can do that. I was like, yeah, that's what anybody would say to a video game character.
Right.
Like, why did you do that?
That's why you're the hero.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was so great.
You know, speaking of strong female leads, I also got a chance to play. It's a very short demo for Mirror's Edge, but it's beautiful. But you know, I think we can all admit that the original Mirror's Edge is easier to admire than it is to play.
Yes.
And I think they finally dealt with that now, where I always struggle with that game because it's such a new way of trying to play, and the visual information was coming in so fast, I didn't know how to make all those snap decisions, and it become quite frustrating. Here, I think because they can render so much more space, that way, like, there isn't, I don't want to say a critical path, but if you do something that might be slightly off, you're not being punished. Like, you can really kind of, I guess in that way, it's kind of similar to Dying Light, where you really feel a lot more confident that you can just move forward and then figure out what you did and make plans after that.
Yeah, the first Mirror's Edge, when you were doing it right, it felt amazing, but then the first misstep, you're like, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And you lose all that momentum, and it just felt bad. So I'm hoping that they're able to do something there. And I'm very encouraged the fact that they said no gunplay whatsoever for the main character, because I think that was where it didn't work in the first game also.
And I was interviewing Peter Moore, and I had to ask him. I mean, Mirror's Edge did not sell that well.
Right.
You know, and it came out in a very bad year to be, you know, to put out a new IP, because there are tons of games that were coming out. Also, it has a female lead. I mean, and now there's no gunplay. This is EA putting that out.
Yeah.
I mean, those are things that I think most marketing teams are like, no.
Yeah.
Give me something to sell this with. And I think it really is kind of admirable and quite exciting that a company that, you know, clearly cares about its bottom line so much is willing to invest and take a risk on a project like that.
And they're also putting out Unravel.
Yeah.
You know, that which doesn't look like an EA game at all. No. It looks so charming and so fun, and that adorable little yarn.
I missed this one.
You would love it.
Yeah.
It's a little Yarny. Is this you play as little Yarny, who's a creature made of yarn, but he lives in the real world, so it's a very photorealistic world, and as he walks through the environment, he leaves a trail of yarn. And it's a platformer, but it just looks like it's got that indie spirit that we've seen, that really inventive, stylized, beautiful art direction.
It immediately made me think of like Ori and the Blind Forest that just came out a few months ago. That really great puzzle platformer, you know, a lot of heart, you know, little character in this massive world, and it's got really an interesting dynamic too, like where you have to find more yarn to keep going. You know, I don't know if that came through in the trailers as much.
Just like life.
Yeah.
Always looking for yarn, guys.
That's it. Gotta keep pulling that string. You know. But yeah, it's a really fun platformer, and they put this little character in this massive world because it's familiar but very different because it's such a different perspective too. So I had a lot of fun playing that.
Yeah.
Definitely a favorite for me, and definitely a huge surprise coming from EA.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, between Little Big Planet and all the Nintendo yarn games, and now this, I mean, you would think that everyone's darning these days.
I think they are. I think there's a very vibrant underground yarn community.
I mean, it's hard to it's hard to get mad at yarn, and it's hard to be like, yarn is getting old. Yarn is so last year. No, it's always relevant.
That is the most interesting perspective, and I agree with you 100%. I would have never thought of that.
Well, because I saw, you know, the Nintendo digital,
Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yoshi's Woolly World, yeah, no. And they had like all
looks
of the little
charming.
like amiibo yarn Yoshis sitting there, and I just wanted all of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
I want to tie them all together and like make a blanket out of them, and then just like wrap them around me. And then
Fortunately,
be
you'll be lucky if you can get one of them.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
It's going to be hard to come by.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to have to wrap things up shortly, but I thought we should go around and each one of us kind of picks the game so far that really does just stand out and get you excited about stuff. Ray, can we start with you?
You know what? You know what actually really surprised me is Star Wars Battlefront. Actually, you know, I'm a huge Star Wars geek, and as much I was really worried after seeing the announcements at Celebration about a lot of stuff. You know, only 20v20. You know, we didn't know, no space battles, but actually after seeing it in action now and getting a little bit of a hands-on with it yesterday while I was at the EA booth, I'm actually really confident this is going to be a great game. I'm actually really excited. And as a Star Wars geek, I'm going to probably freak out and probably just play way too much of it over the holiday season.
Yeah, I somehow see that game being popular. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I want to say Horizon Zero Dawn, but I think that game's a little farther out, so I'll pick something a little more coming up a little sooner, and that is XCOM 2. Is that what you were going to pick? Sorry, I stole yours. Maybe I could stick with Horizon Zero Dawn. But XCOM 2, man, the first XCOM is so good. It feels like they have just emphasized their strengths and really doubled down on making it this incredibly cinematic experience. You know, this top-down, turn-based strategy game, which I love those kinds of games. It really feels very kinetic and very story-oriented this time around, what they showed. It looks great.
And Jessica?
I did get to try a few games yesterday, but that wasn't my favorite moment. My favorite moment was I got to interview the director of an esports documentary that's coming out in theaters called All Work, All Play. And I had a professional retired I can't believe that's a thing, but there's a retired esports
he
competitor. Yeah, exactly. They're like Menudo. Like once they hit a certain age, they're out. And the owner of Cloud9. And so it was really amazing talking to them and them talking about how esports and just like the video game community in general is really up on the rise and is becoming more mainstream, and people are recognizing it more as something great and not this kind of stereotypical thing that we've had in the past. So it was a really charming and endearing moment to see them all really kind of celebrate this thing, and so that's what I got to do.
All right. Well, I'm still going to talk about XCOM too because
someone
who
who
loves
totally
XCOM
stole your game.
No, it's quite all right. We were there at the same time seeing the demo, but yeah, it's just, you know, I know when a demo is really good, when I want to just reach there and grab a controller because I start seeing how I want to be playing the game, and it was granted, it wasn't even a live demo, but I was just like, no, really, I want to play this right now. But the other one I will definitely point out, as I mentioned earlier, was Mirror's Edge, where it's just one of those like, cool, we're at this point now where we all feel kind of confident about our new fancy consoles that we can start taking some risks and, you know, put some content out there that may not be the most traditional, and that's really how we're going to innovate in this industry, and it just really makes me happy. Yeah. So anyway, well, guys, thank you so much for sticking around and just having this chat. Obviously, thanks to all of you. We'll be doing this again soon, and we'd love to have you join us.